And away we go. It is the BCJ Podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail, right here on BearcatJournal.com. We are live from the Cincy Light Studios, and Saturday night, 8 o'clock, kickoff, Bearcats, Cowboys, Stillwater, watch party, the official BCJ watch party at the Holy Grail. Come down, join us as we watch the Bearcats try to move to 4-0 in the Big 12. Try to get bowl eligible for the first time in the Scott Satterfield era. And we will have a great time. Come down a little bit early, get you some food, have some delicious dinner, and then order yourself some Cincy Lights. And we will, again, have prize packs to give out from Cincy Light for those in attendance. And you get to watch the Bearcats as they look to continue what has been a highly successful 2025 season to date. All right, let's get this show on the road. David,
hello. It's going. It's going well. It's going well.
And it's a good. Not great. Not terrible, but well.
Yeah, back from our trip to Gatlinburg. Young William is now addicted to gambling / arcade games because he hit a 5,000 ticket jackpot that the guy working said he's seen like twice. He was running around high-fiving people. And so all he wanted to do then was go back and win the jackpot again. So now he thinks that it's just a thing that happens all the time.
I mean, that's how they end up with like crippling gambling problems, right?
I know. Well, my grandparents were quite fans of Las Vegas, so it's definitely in his blood. So we came home with lots of crap, basically.
What anything good? Like 5,000's gotta be something nice, right?
A dartboard, a big thing of Airhead candy, real handcuffs.
Real handcuffs.
Yeah, like steel handcuffs.
How many times have you been cuffed?
Just a couple. He cuffed himself to the car on the ride home and then couldn't get himself uncuffed.
So then he quit playing with the handcuffs.
Yeah. So and then just a bunch of junk, basically. But
that's great.
We had fun. It was a good time.
That's good to hear. Good job, Will.
Yeah.
Sorry about the gambling addiction, buddy, but
I could have bought all the things he won for probably like $25.
Yeah. And instead you spend $300 to win $25 worth of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Cool. Let's get this show on the road, David, as we'll put a final bow on UCF. I don't think there's a ton of meat left on that bone. Pretty simple for me. Offense missed a couple things that would have made things look a lot better. Need to be better in the second half, but you're playing with the lead. You're just trying to get to the finish line. You don't, you want to be risk averse in that situation. I'd like to see them. And Satterfield said it on yesterday at the press conference. They were doing everything to stop the run. We probably should have leaned on the pass a little bit more instead of trying to continue to find openings in the running game that weren't really there throughout the day. Couple missed throws by Sorsby. Couple plays that you look at and go, boy, they've been making that. That has been going their way so far. It didn't against UCF, but fortunately, Dave, the UC offense is dreadful, and they couldn't really capitalize on a lot of those opportunities. And you get another game that Cincinnati was in control. they win. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we say this all the time, winning is hard. And I'm not going to be too critical of it because it is not easy to do, as we have seen in the past couple of years. So keep the ball rolling and get to next week, and that's kind of where we're at.
Right, and I think, to me, and you and I have talked a little bit over the last couple of days, and I think this is kind of a good time to have this broader discussion because there's not a ton to rehash about this game. And honestly, there's not a lot of in-depth analysis that is going to be needed for Oklahoma State. So it kind of fits perfect in the sense of, going into the season, we were asking some questions about the program and this 2025 team in general, in the sense of the way that last year ended. Now we want to see, okay, if we're going to take that step, some things are going to have to happen. Such as you're going to have to go on the road and you're going to have to win a close game. If you want to get to where you want to go in the Big 12, knowing that the competition is very similar, you got to do that. They did that against Kansas. Then, another question that we had, and these aren't necessarily sequential, but another question was, when you get that chance against a good team at home, can you now, where you couldn't before, can you be the aggressor? Can you be the one that sets the tone? Can you be the one that dictates how this game is going to go? Did that against Iowa State. And then another question that I'm not sure everybody had, but I always have is, and I've always used this, especially when we talk basketball, because I feel like I heard Fran Frischella say this a long time ago, and I know I've said it several times, but can you win a game when you don't play your best? Regardless of who you're playing.
Yep.
Fran Frischella's line always was, you're going to play 5 games where you're incredible, 5 games where you're terrible, and 20 games kind of in the middle. How many of the games in the middle are you going to win? UC was not just going to continually get better from Kansas to Iowa State to UCF to Oklahoma State to be like, it wasn't this just continual, no dips, but how many, can you win a game when things don't go the way they've been going? When you aren't able to average 11 yards per carry in the first half, when the timing between the quarterback and the receiver just isn't the way it had been in those 2 previous games. Can you win that game regardless of the opponent? Now, people could say, well, if that was against Utah, they wouldn't have been able to win that game.
It's not.
It wasn't, so I don't care. And that kind of gets us to where I have a whole page of notes because I've had all these thoughts.
Perfect thing, Dave. If they played like that against Kansas, they wouldn't have won that game. They didn't. They played a different way against Kansas, and they won that game. If they played like that against Iowa State, they would have lost. They didn't. Here we are.
It's kind of like my favorite. You always hear it with field goal kicking and penalties. If they keep missing field goals, it's going to eventually cost them. It might, or it won't. Or if they keep having all these penalties, it's going to. I remember Fickle's teams were some of the most penalized teams in the country. It's going to eventually cost them, or it's not. Like, it's not a automatic. So, yes, if they'd have played that way against Kansas, they would have lost. Yeah, but guess what? They didn't. So we don't have to play these things that we see on Twitter where it's another hypothetical win for the SEC or the Big Ten. It's like, it's not hypothetical, guys. It's a real sport. It happens. And I think we're really starting to see this, especially this season, that what the portal is doing. I mean, UC went to the playoff 3.5 years ago, and the sport feels totally different. In that short amount of time. Oh,
not feels.
It is.
Is.
This is, and is becoming even more so, a week-to-week thing. everybody always talks about the NFL. Any given Sunday, the worst team can beat the best team. Everybody goes 8-8 or 9-7 or whatever it is. College football is becoming like that. The average margin of victory in the NFL is 10.8 points. The average margin of victory in the SEC is 10.7 points. And if you it's 14 point something in the Big 12. And if you lop off of Kentucky or you lop off of West Virginia, it's even tighter. These games, from a week-to-week standpoint, are as close as they've ever been. We are seeing, because of the portal, the teams at the top. There's always going to be a 1 or 2 or 3. Ohio State this year, Miami, you can throw Indiana in there if you want. Texas A&M is playing really, really good. There's always going to be a couple. But I think what we're seeing is that 5, 6, 7 through 20, if those teams all played each other, they'd probably split 5-5. Yeah. The portal has evened out the talent. It has done the opposite of what all the negative Nancy's, the portal's just going to make the Ohio States and the Alabamas even richer. They're just going to stockpile. No, guys want to play. You can't get drafted if you're not playing. And everybody has some amount of money now. So I can go here and I can play and I can get paid, or I can go here and I can make a little bit more. But when am I going to get on the field?
Yeah.
It has spread out the talent, and just look at the results. Penn State, is however many seconds away from potentially being the number 1 team in the country, and then they turn around and lose 2 games in a row by 3 touchdown favorites. Clemson, Florida State, Texas. I mean, these teams are losing games that 5, 10, 15 years ago they'd have won by 30.
Yeah.
So we're always going to have things.
Except for Texas. They've been losing a lot of these games for like a decade now.
But then they lose to Florida, and then they turn around and basically shut out Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's the part of it. It's like you can't take 1 week's results and use that really hardly at all to project the next week's results.
But I had to get a Texas shot in.
Yes, of course, and that's fine. And that is why we're always going to talk about. I mean, we talk about it. We have this podcast. You have a podcast on Monday night. I have another one on Sunday. There's always going to be conversation. There's always going to be criticism, critiques, things that we see that could be better, but really at this point in the sport, I'm pretty much just doing the whole, they won. I'm not paid to worry about what went wrong, how they're going to fix it. So I'm not going to waste time, being upset or trying to break down why something happened. We'll talk about it. We'll dig into it. We'll give numbers and stats and analytics that maybe back up a point or clear something up. But just because they've won 5 in a row, they could. I mean, if Penn State can lose to freaking UCLA and Northwestern, UC can absolutely go to Oklahoma State and lose.
Sure.
That this is the nature of the sport now. And you just kind of have to take it in the week-to-week element of college football is becoming not just the pay part, but just the talent acquisition part and the nature of where players are going now. It is becoming more and more and more like the NFL.
The like the dynamics of it, there are still going to be bad teams.
Right.
Like there are still
always going to be bad teams.
There are still going to be teams that their strategy for the portal didn't work, or their recruiting department stinks.
Right.
Or for whatever reason, the coach lost the locker room. Like that is still going to happen. But the middle is doing this, not this. Like, you're not getting more teams at the top and more teams at the bottom, which is, like you said, that's what people thought was going to happen, right? The talent would consolidate at the top, at least in the Power Five, per se. Like, the group of 6 is in trouble.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
I mean, that's a whole other podcast. I mean, there's some MAC schools that would do themselves very good to drop down to FCS.
Yeah. But it's not that. It's the group at the top is going like this and consolidating to every year there's going to be 5-6 teams that, you feel like, and maybe that number's not even
I think there's
that big.
I think there's 2 things that are happening that go in line with what you're saying. The amount of teams that are elite is getting smaller.
Yes.
That group is also, so you have the amount of teams that are elite is getting smaller. That big middle is compressing, where the best of the middle and the worst of the middle are closer. That big group is also getting closer to those few teams that are the elites. And then the bottom is not as bad as it used to be. Even though they're bad, West Virginia, Kentucky, Stanford, they're still bad. But that group at the bottom is not, I mean, you'd see Vanderbilt when I was in school. I mean, they were, they're in the SEC and they're getting beat by 40, 50, 60 points every week.
Yeah. Those
teams are still going to be real bad, and yes, they'll still get blown out on occasion. But like a blowout now is 38-10, 45-7, not
56-3,
not 65-7.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So everything is kind of compressing, and just makes it so much more of a week-to-week thing. I mean, every week we talk, when Jeff and I talk about stuff around the nation, there's always at least one game where we're just like, that result was not anywhere near my radar of what was going to happen.
Darren, we'll get to OSU in a second. I'll let Dave answer this real quick. Does Oklahoma State have the talent to have the same shocking turnaround under a new coach like UCLA?
No, because as much as I like to rag on him, like Nico would be the Oklahoma State's best player by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think so. I mean, that right there, I mean, speaking of UCLA, I mean, Jerry Neuheisel took over on a Tuesday and put 42 points up on what many people thought was one of the best defenses in the country. Like, that shows you, I mean, think about that 10, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Team is 0-4, makes coaching change. New offensive coordinator has 2 days basically to prepare a game plan for a preseason number 2 team in the country. What would the score of that game been 5-10 years ago?
Yeah. Not that.
No.
Not that.
So it's going, I mean, and I think this kind of goes right into, because it's now the nature of, feels like the nature of the beast, we're starting to see these very early firings. And I think it's for two main reasons. The immediacy of it is, and we talked about this when Virginia Tech did theirs, was the immediacy of it is, if we don't do this right now, like, no one's going to come to the games. Like, put on the Ohio State-Wisconsin game Saturday. Check out how many fans are there and how many of them are Ohio State fans. It's we still need to try to make some money. I mean, Virginia Tech did it, and they still got they're still getting great crowds after they did it. And I think the thing that we're now going to see even more so is, because of NIL, because of boosters, and what you need is, if I don't make this move and my coach goes 2-10, 3-9, 4-8, whatever, how do I then go back to the same people that funded the players that this coach went out and got and ask those same people to do that again? Like, I won't dump on Wisconsin. We'll use Billy Napier, because he's getting fired at Florida. How do I then be like, after we almost fired him last year and probably should have, then we're going to fire him this year? If I don't fire him and I go back to those people and go, hey, we just need to let this guy buy some more better players, those boosters are going to go, why would I keep giving you money? Whoever the coach has proven that he can't either evaluate the talent properly, and we're paying for the wrong player, or he's paying for the right players but not able to develop them. So you want me to keep giving you money for the same person that just went 2-10? Like,
I mean, it's when all this started, Dave, you heard coaches. Mark Stoops was one of them. We're losing because you're not giving me enough money.
Yeah.
We stink and it's your fault. It's not my fault. I can coach. I'm a man. I'm 40.
If you'd have given me $3 million for a quarterback instead of $1.5 million, then we would be good.
We would have got a quarterback that's half as shitty as the one we have.
But you now want me to, after you did this, after you went 2-10, and I gave you X dollars for this roster, you want me to do this again?
Yeah. So
I think we're going to see. I mean, people are really digging in on these buyouts. I know Fickles is payable monthly until 2032. It's not when. It's not if. It's when. Napier is pretty much the same. Mark Stoops, his is interesting because apparently pretty much all of it is due within 30 days.
30 days. 30 days. They owe him like $30 million plus if he gets fired. Yeah. And it's due within 30 days.
But here's the problem. If Penn State just got a whole bunch of people fired, well, just because, like, if they said, screw it, here's 15, and there's supposedly mitigation. There's mitigation in almost all these contracts. I mean, you have to try to get a job. It's not that you have to accept a job.
You have to actively pursue a job.
Yeah. But it's them basically saying, like, this had to happen is going to get a bunch of other people fired. And ADs really need to start looking at, and this was an article that I had already been thinking about it, but Chris Vanini in The Athletic wrote an article today that I retweeted on the Bearcat Journal account, basically saying schools should start looking at an alternative way to structure these contracts for coaches, in that I think it is silly to continue this trend of coach signs 6-year deal. Coach has 2 pretty good seasons or 3 pretty good seasons, or even a Mike Norvell 13-0 season at Florida State. And then we tack 4 more years or 5 more years onto the contract. So now it's an 8-year contract that now Florida State, Mike Norvell's buyout is $50-something million.
And things are not trending in a good direction.
No, they are not. They have not won a conference games in over 365 days. Over a calendar year since their last ACC win. So let's
not
put it
great, Bob.
Let's put it in UC terms. Okay. Scott Satterfield, they're 5-1. Let's say they go 9-3. Absolutely deserving of a raise and a contract extension. I mean, no one would argue that. He would be asking for it, and I don't think anybody would argue that. He would have 3 years left on his deal. If it's me, in this new anything can happen week to week, you can go from really good to really bad or really bad to really good really quickly. I'm trying to not tack on 4 more years and turn that into a 7-year contract. Yeah. I'm trying to tear that contract up and go, okay, you were making, I don't know the exact numbers, $3.5 million a year. We'll just call it that. I'm going to do 4 years, $6 million a year, $6.5 million a year. So I'm going to double your salary. We're going to do 4 years, $24 million, and I'm going to do 75 to 100% of it guaranteed. I don't feel like coaches would not like that, don't you? I mean, they're getting all of it up front. It's all guaranteed. And then the school isn't on the hook for some massive buyout if after year 2 and into year 3, it turns into a catastrophe.
Yeah, there's going to be an interesting, like, are we going to see different strategies on this? Because, Dave, a lot of it has been the same, right? Like, we don't see a whole lot of variation in how stuff's structured for coaches.
No.
Our athletic director is going to start taking different paths. Like, it's still amazing to me that a lot of the current situation we're in is because of Mel Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
10 years, $100 million at Michigan State. 10 years, $100 million at Michigan State. And then, of course, every good coach in the country went to their AD and said, Mel Tucker?
Yeah, he got a lot of people. He got a lot of people raises.
He's going to get a lot of ADs fired. But you're paying me less than Nick Saban went to his AD and said, excuse me, sir, I'm making less than Mel Tucker. And it brought in this 10-year contract stuff, which is absurd in today's college landscape, Dave. And the interesting thing about your point on like front loading it 4 years, like for the longest time, coaches wanted 5 and 6 year contracts because they wanted a full recruiting cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That was the argument. I need 5 to 6 years.
I got to have at least 4 years on my deal so I can do the whole song and dance of that. I'm going to be here for your son's entire college career.
Well,
yeah, well,
we're talking
things have slightly changed since then.
I've talked about this in the past, Dave. I think anymore, the right way to go about things is to kind of continue working in 2-year windows.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you want to roll over. Like every year you're looking at your 2-year window. But in reality, like Cincinnati's in year 2 of their 2-year window, right? You got Sorsby, you got Golday, Corleone was still around, Gerhardt was still around. Like you had some guys that came up through your program as developmental guys. You went out and you found some pieces around them. Like they're in year 2 of their 2-year window. People probably don't want to hear this, but there's a good chance that 2-year window starts over next year.
That's just what I was thinking. Let's just game this out and just say, hypothetically, Sorsby goes pro, Dante's gone, Golday's gone. Whoever they bring in at quarterback, whether it's someone on the roster or a transfer, it doesn't work. And they go 5 and 7. And after this year, you've given Sat a 4-year extension. He now has 7 years left on his contract. And next year it doesn't, for whatever reason. They've been an incredibly healthy team. Let's say they have a bunch of injuries. I mean, the reasons that things can go bad are a lot of times not necessarily the coach's fault.
Right.
But it goes bad. And now you got 7 years on the deal. And then the next year, it's not any better. And you still got 6 years left on the deal. And you're going, well, we had one good year, and I gave him a 4-year contract extension, and now his buyout is $25 million.
I mean, under your plan, the buyout is still going to be $18 million, $20 million.
Well, I mean, if it's 4 years, say it's 4 years, $6 million a year, and you've already done 2 years, it's only $12 million. It's only 12 for the last 2 years. If it goes bad in those 2 consecutive years after you rip up the old structure of the deal and you do it this new way.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what direction all of this goes, because ADs are going to have to dial back, because we talked about this part of it too. Every dollar I'm paying my coaches is a dollar I can't pay my players.
Well, that was the other part of the article was, when will some coaches already have, but when will it just become truly a common occurrence of, give me less, take some of that money and put it into our player acquisition pool? Because that's the question that this is a football-based podcast because we're in the middle of football season, but it's athletic department-wide. Every decision the athletic department is making needs to be held up against the question, how does this affect talent acquisition? If we give the coach a raise, how does this affect talent acquisition? If we remodel or build this new structure, how does that affect talent acquisition? If we decide to have 1 million alternate uniforms, Middle Tennessee State, they went back to just home and away, blue and white, because they were like, we don't need them. We don't need to use money for extra uniforms. We're going to use that money for talent acquisition.
Yeah.
Every decision needs to be under the light of, how does this affect talent acquisition? And, a coach should be like, well, I'd like an extra $1 million, but if that extra $1 million allows me to get 2 awesome defensive linemen that then allows me to win some more games and get a contract extension, I'm going to get the money one way or another. So, yeah, I think we're going to start seeing that more and more. The way it's been used recently is coaches have kind of used it as almost like a goodwill gesture of, things didn't go as well as everybody wanted them to go this year, so I'm going to give some money back to the player pool as how gracious I am that I didn't earn my full salary, so I'm going to use it to help us buy better players. But yeah, I think that's certainly a direction that things are going to be heading. But the contract thing, I think, is just interesting because I just don't think, in the way that the sport is going, the year-to-year nature of it, I don't think these athletic departments can be on the hook anymore for these massive buyouts. No matter how big the TV contracts get, and yes, UC next year will be a full share Big 12. Nobody wants to have to ask for that money or come up with that money or pay out that. Some of these schools, it's a line item. They have so much money that it's call 4 or 5 guys. But
now you can't. Now those 4 or 5 guys, you're not going to be able to call them for money to pay the players.
Right. I just paid you to buy this guy out, and now the new guy wants my money because he needs better players. Well, I keep giving you guys money, and all we end up doing is losing games and firing coaches.
That's not it goes back to what we've talked about for forever and ever on here. Rich people didn't get rich by lighting their money on fire.
No.
So the people that are rich and have exorbitant amounts of money, they don't mind coming off of that if it means their favorite team is winning. And they get to enjoy like the fruits of their labor, if you will.
Yeah, they get to brag a little bit at the country club, and
they get to take their private plane to the away games, like sit in the AD suite, and hobnob around like, hey, I was part of this. But when your team is 3-7 in November or December, that's a different conversation about what am I going to do with my money.
Yeah, I think in UC's case, it is it's just a different dynamic, because I was looking at some of the numbers today. They were independent for 25 years, from 1970 to 1995. In the 30 years or whatever that have happened since then, they've been in 5 conferences. I don't think there's another program in the country that's been in 5 that is trying to compete at the level UC is trying to compete at.
Well, there's one.
Louisville.
Yeah, because they were in the same boat.
Essentially the same boat, right? So 2 teams that are trying to do that, and it's hard. But then there's also a big difference of the markets are totally different.
Yeah.
And I know I've been critical about it with fundraising, and it's a hard go. We are competing against programs, and especially now in the Big 12, programs with decades and decades of built-in loyalty and brand equity with their fan bases. UC's cared about football essentially since, I would say, 1994, 95, when they made the decision to go from independent to Conference USA.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of the sport, that is nothing.
No.
1990, the mid-90s is when they really started caring about football. So you don't have you don't have families that have just been these 50-year, 60-year, this is just what we do. We own a business, and every year we stroke the check, and it doesn't matter about the results on the field because my pappy took me to games and his pappy took him to. Yes, there are some. I went to games with my grandparents when I was 5. That's almost 40 years ago. But it is not that way.
But there were 30 people at the game.
Yes, exactly. They didn't. Right. I'm saying they were independent when I was going to those games as a little kid. The people. I don't know how many people realize the Metro Conference did not sponsor football. It was a basketball. It would have been a sweet football league. And I also saw an article today that it was planning on being the first super conference. It was going to have like 20 teams in it. But they did not sponsor football. So everything Metro was basketball related. So, and this is where, you look, Indiana has become the poster child of it because it has been so quick and so good. But Vanderbilt and Virginia are 2 other programs that, up until a few years ago, Vanderbilt didn't even really have an athletic department. It was just in the schools, like almost extracurricular activities was the also athletic department. They did not fund sports the way that anybody in the SEC did. Both of these schools,
Vandy was every AAU team has the smart kid that's on the team that's not any good because his dad's rich.
Yeah, he pays for all the uniforms.
He can rent the van and take care of the hotel rooms. That's what Vanderbilt was.
Yeah. They jumped into NIL big over the last couple of years. Vanderbilt 2 years ago, UVA this year. I don't think a lot of people realize that UVA spent a ton of money on NIL this year. And what do you know? they're good. And I think, we're kind of at the point where I feel like whether it's football, basketball, whatever the sport is, I think UC needs to jump in and invest. I don't know if they need to go to a level of like what Whit Babcock said and get $50 million a year to get up to snuff with the top of the ACC, but the university has to make the decision that we got into the conference we wanted to get into. Now we need to fund it like we're trying to win the conference.
Yeah.
Not Texas Tech. They'll never get to Texas Tech level. I mean, Cody Campbell can write a check for $20 million right now. I mean, I'm not saying that, but you fought tooth and nail to get into the Big East. Then you had that blow up in your face. Then you fought tooth and nail and overextended yourself. I mean, who knows how long they're going to be paying debts on the Lindner Center, on the basketball arena renovation, on Nippert renovation. I mean, who knows how long on the new performance center. I have no idea how long they're going to be paying debts on this. But you fought so hard to get into the Big 12 to then not decide we're going to fund this on a holistic level and try to turn that into something would make me question, why would you do it at all?
Yeah.
Because we can talk about the fans need to donate more and they need to get on board with it. That, I'm not saying it's a losing battle, but UC's not going to get to that level based on donors. Because donors' money is so tied to wins and losses and just what's going on in their personal life.
Sure.
They need to show us, fans, donors, season ticket holders of whatever sport, like, we're serious. We're going to do everything we can. We talked about talent acquisition. We're going to do everything we can to give our programs the best chance to win. Not just do everything we can with this new TV money that we're going to get, or we're going to fully fund rev share. No, I'm talking about the university doing everything they can to not go into this new conference and then just exist. That was and is still my biggest fear, is that you did all this stuff to get into the Big 12, but we're not going to do enough to actually try to win anything. We're cool just being there.
Yeah, I get it to an extent, Dave, but the money's got to come from somewhere, or
they have the money. They have over $1 billion endowment.
That's not how an endowment works. That's not how an endowment works. That money is earmarked. It is
so
donated to specific
how can
things.
Virginia Tech just decide on a Tuesday we're going to dump $50 million more into the athletic budget?
Didn't they decide to do subsidies? Didn't they decide to do like student fees? It came from somewhere tangible. It wasn't we're tapping into our endowment. Like, that's not how an endowment works. That.
I know that, but I'm saying there are dollars that they could use if they wanted to.
Hypothetically, yes. Like, I don't necessarily think that's how a university works. Like, there's money they could raise. There's money that the university could come up with for athletics, but not we're dipping into this. We're not robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Well, maybe they should.
Oh,
no, I just look at it
sometimes with you.
I just look at it as you have the opportunity, because what do we always talk about with football specific? They have the money, but they kind of have to use it in retention of their best players, which I think is smart, and the portal. Well, if anybody's been paying attention, the portal is not getting better. It's getting worse. Because more teams are using the money for retention of their best players. And I love Zach and Jack to death. I think they do a great job. But the talent that is available to the collective coming from the portal is not getting better. It's getting worse. There are fewer high-level players entering the portal year over year. So, if that's happening, where does money theoretically need to go to? High school kids. And that has been the area that they have not really tapped into because I don't think they have the budget to really do that. I mean, we saw it happen this week with Brody Jones. Flip to Missouri. I can guarantee you that Brody Jones is getting some level of six figures from Missouri. I don't really agree with that philosophy of giving high school kids that haven't proved anything that type of money. But if that's what the market is saying, you either do it or you get left behind.
I disagree.
What?
Because I don't think high school kids are the answer. At least not in this particular situation. You just said you're going to cap a coach in 4 years and fire his ass in 2.
No,
you can't do that if your reliance is on no. You can't do that if your reliance is on kids that might not produce for 3 years.
I did say that, but I'm also saying if the talent pool in the portal is getting worse, where are you going to spend the money on? Worse portal players?
No, you're spending it on retention.
Right.
And there are still going to be good players in the portal, Dave. There are still going to be good players that aren't happy with what they're getting at the place that they're at.
I understand.
That are looking for a different opportunity.
Right. And we won't have the money to pay them.
You find a talent acquisition department that's really damn good at their jobs.
You still need cash. I can be great at my job, but if someone is paying someone 3x what I can pay him, then it doesn't matter if I identify.
But UC's never going to compete in that world. Never.
Right. So then
you have to figure out what works for you.
That's my whole point of they need to get some more money.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They're never going to be in the stratosphere of the top 20 schools. Never.
Not even talking about the top 20.
That's where the best players are going. If you want the best players, that's where they're at. You got to compete with them to get the best players, right?
Yes.
So the teams in the middle, the teams that are going to survive in the middle are going to find strategies that work for them. Do I think that Cincinnati needs to do a little bit better job recruiting high school? Sure. But in this landscape, the landscape you laid out in the beginning of this segment,
right?
You don't have 3 years to wait for that kid to get good. You don't have it because you got fired in 2.
No, but my point was I don't think the talent in the portal, I think it's going to continue to dwindle. And the teams with the money will still be the teams with the money, and they will buy the remaining good players. So if you are, am I just taking worse players in the portal, or am I using some of that money and I'm splitting it up, maybe allocating it differently to then give some of the money to the better high school players that I think can contribute right away and do my best to make sure that when a Missouri comes in at this stage, or someone else comes in even later, that I have a fighting chance to keep that player if I think that player is worth it.
Here's one thing that we haven't talked about, that here's the reality. You're not winning recruiting battles with the Big Ten and the SEC.
No, I don't think
you're not.
Because of what I just said, like they're able to give a very fine but middle of the road type player, 6 figures.
And also, it's deeper than that, though, Dave. It's not just the money. It is also, look at the first 5 rounds of the NFL draft. It is all Big Ten and SEC.
And the playoff. I mean, they're going to put the SEC. I don't know if they have a great team, but they're still going to put 4 or 5 teams in the playoff.
Right. So when those schools come calling, it doesn't matter the money you have.
No, I'm not. I know. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying that. Yes, the Big Ten and SEC would be very hard, but it was relevant to the timing because it just happened.
I know. We're just having the conversation. It's a lot deeper than he who has the most money wins.
Sure. It always is, but to some guys, it really is pretty cut and dry. You just have to be able to figure out which guys that fits with and probably not go after them. If you get the sense that this is 100% transactional, then that's probably not a guy you want to go after if you're UC.
Sure, but I don't know. I don't see a whole lot of change in a lot of the way things are done. I think UC has done it always cracks me up over the last 2-3 years. Like, kids commit and they're not an 89 or a 90 when they commit, right? So they stink. They're terrible. This staff sucks. I don't know why they keep doing this. And then 4 months later, the SEC and the Big Ten come calling on that same kid, and they lament the staff for not being able to keep him.
Right.
Well, what is it? He was terrible when he was an 80, 85, 86, but now he's in the SEC and he's an 89, and all of a sudden he's good, and the staff sucks because they can't hold on to him. Like, I think the method that they are using right now, and some of this will evolve, because the problem was when they got here, they did not have a Big 12 roster. And they could not wait to spend a bunch of money on high school kids to get a Big 12 roster like that. Because if they did that, this year would have stunk, everybody would have been fired, and none of it would have mattered. And UC would still have a shitty roster that couldn't compete in the Big 12.
For sure.
So I do think there is a evolution of the way things are done to come. I also think, like, going into next year, let's hypothetically, Royer leaves, Corleone leaves, Golday goes to the draft, Sorsby goes to the draft. You're going to have a whole lot of money that you didn't spend on retention. You might still spend a good chunk on retention, but you ain't paying anybody.
Right, but it's not going to big ticket items like a quarterback and one of the best D tackles in the country. And, I don't know what they had. Royer seems to probably be like the exception. I doubt he was it was either go pro or come back. So it wasn't like they had some big negotiation with him on
Notre Dame, Oregon.
Well, but
Royer had a lot of money on the table.
I'm sure he did, but it was one of the situations where if you want it, great. We're not, I don't feel like it was truly like I might actually go somewhere else.
I think it was on the table for sure.
But you have the opportunity now to, essentially take Sorsby's money and say he does go pro and use the great year that he hopefully continues to have to recruit another quarterback like that.
Yeah.
But that gets into what we just talked about is everybody is trying to, I think everybody now more so than ever is trying to keep their best players. So how many great quarterbacks are going to be out there that you want to spend that type of money on? Because it'll be harder next year because I thought it was easier to bring in Sorsby and let him kind of grow with the program, where if you have a good year this year, that quarterback that you bring in next year, say it is from the outside, I don't think you're going to be able to sell another young guy who's maybe only played 5 games and we're going to grow with him again. You kind of have to probably try to get someone that you feel comfortable with can come in and, assuming things go well, can pretty much replicate what you did this year.
Yeah, I mean, you hope going forward you go find more guys that are worth a lot of money to keep, and then you're spending a ton of money on retention, because one of the biggest factors in football is how many guys do you have that are at the top of the conference in their position or in their position group or whatever. That to me has always been one of the biggest indicators of winning. Like, if you don't have anybody that's at the top of the conference in their position group, you're going to be trash. You're going to be terrible.
For sure.
Cincinnati's got a top defensive tackle, a top tight end, a top linebacker, and a top quarterback. And that's not going to be cheap. So when we talk about, like, of course, player retention, well, there's different levels of player retention, and that impacts.
This next year is going to be about how many of the guys that played a role this year, but we want to be starters or frontline players next year, can we keep?
Right.
That now everybody knows about, because we're not 5-7, we're 9-3. And it's, this guy's only a sophomore, and he was a use the linebackers for an example. I mean, they have a healthy group of linebackers, but it's not going to surprise me if some SEC team comes in and goes, there's 6 other guys there still that are good. We need you to play right now.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to give you X. They can't give you X.
Right.
How many of those type of guys can they hang on to?
But you're going to have a lot more money to do that.
But you're still going to need to go out and use that money to get those, to replace those top line positions. That's the thing.
Maybe, because you're not going to, like, the thing is, you're not going to get in bidding wars and win. No. At those spots, no matter how much, whatever they're paying for Sorsby, and it's considerable, it's significant. Whatever you're paying for him, it's not going to be 1-to-1 like we have that for a quarterback next year. What you're going to probably do is look for a guy like Sorsby, that was in a situation that he was in where not guaranteed the spot next year. Maybe in a bad situation that's about to turn over the coach. You have identified him, because I think Cincinnati identified him a while before he was in the portal, so that when he got in the portal, like McDoom talked about it on the coach's show the other night.
They do a great job, Zach, all those guys. They do a great job of early scouting on, this is a situation where we feel this guy could enter the portal, and it's a guy that we like. So let's be ready when and if that does happen. I think the biggest spot is going to be on the defensive line. They're not only Dante, but they're graduating a considerable number of guys. They're going to need to go out and outside of quarterback, that might be, and tackle, that might be the most expensive spot to go find guys, with the fewest guys probably available that you think can make an impact. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic along the D line next year. But it all goes hand in hand, and it all just kind of comes back to they're having a really good first half of the year, and I know fans get upset if things don't, you see a UCF that you are 10.5 point favorites over, and it's at home, and you're coming off 2 really good wins. I'm just enjoying the winning, and how these next several games play out will be super interesting. And it's just such a week-to-week game right now. The matchups, who's available, who's not. It really is just nothing we've ever seen before in college football.
And that's talking the UCF game
that we talked about for maybe 3 minutes.
and then 57 minutes on all this.
Well, I mean, there's just not anything about the game that and that's the thing. There's not anything about the game that tells me really anything about this week.
Yeah.
Like Oklahoma State is real bad.
let's timestamp.
Are you fighting with people on Twitter while we're doing this podcast?
I'm messing with Xavier. I made the joke that I said I was going to make, and it did exactly what we knew it was going to do. And Xavier fans are butthurt because I made fun of their new beer.
All 14 of them are mad.
I've already been called fat and ugly.
Oh, man, they really got you there.
I know. I have a mirror. Duh. Yeah. So yeah, they're worked up, which basketball season's almost here, Dave. Like it's the preseason for me when it comes to Xavier fans. And I've been good. I don't argue with UC fans anymore. I didn't argue with Middle Florida fans all week, although they've been pretty quiet of late.
They're very good at analyzing a game by the box score.
Yes.
I mean,
that's what happens when you just started watching football 10 years ago.
I mean, I feel like that's a joke I've been making, that they don't actually understand the sport. But I mean, and I'm not trying to puff our chest out or anything, but I listen to a lot of I try to listen to a bunch of opponent podcasts so I can just educate myself on the team, on their current situation, so that I come on here on Wednesdays and don't sound like an idiot, and people don't watch the game and go, Dave didn't say anything about this guy and he's having a great game or whatever have you. At no point did I hear anything about success rate or EPA per play, or it was all just, we had more first downs. We had 100 and something more total yards. We had 3 times as much time of possession. I'm like, man, you guys are really digging deep on this game.
Yeah. But yeah, Turtles Brew. Let's do a timestamp. 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free. It's bourbon-infused sweet tea. It's 6% ABV. They have lemonade tea. They have strawberry mint, cherry lime, raspberry peach, orange vanilla. There's more than 50 locations in Greater Cincinnati, over 100 around Ohio. All you got to do, visit turtlesbrew.com for more information and the location nearest you. Great tailgate drink, especially now. Weather's starting to turn a little bit, getting a little chilly before games. Get you some Turtles Brew. You will thank me later. Before we get into Oklahoma State, Callie's very excited. This segment brought to you by our good friends at Home Field Apparel. Go to homefieldapparel.com. They have the greatest selection of vintage, classic UC marks on the internet. I'm rocking it today, Dave. Brought it back out for tonight. The old school, the classic C. Paul t-shirt. Super soft. I had my Cats script red hoodie on. I think that was Monday morning. It was pretty chilly out. Threw on the soft Cats script. They've got the new tri-stripe crew neck. That's a classic look. The platinum boxes, t-shirts, joggers, jackets, quarter zips, joggers, hoodies, you name it, tank tops. They've got it all. If you're looking for UC gear, the best place to go find it is homefieldapparel.com. And go check it out. They will get you ready. The holiday season coming up, Dave. So go check out Home Field Apparel.
Do you think they're mad that they're starting to realize that in maybe a decade or 15 years their school is going to be shut down?
Xavier?
Yeah. Do you think they're starting to realize that?
I think it's setting in for some of them. The ones in my mentions, probably not.
No.
Those aren't the Those aren't the brightest
No.
bulbs in the drawer. Not the sharpest knives in the silverware set.
When your enrollment is this year something like 500, 600, and now you're letting anybody in with a pulse. That's like how Tennessee used to go. If you were in state in Tennessee and you were breathing, they let you in.
I mean, they're partnering with Burger Beer, Dave. That should tell you all you need to know.
When I saw that tweet today, I honestly said I didn't know that was still a beer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I think they're right. I think it's brewed out in like Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh now. So, but if that's all you can get, that's all you can get. Musky Light brought to you by Keystone. Musky Ice brought to you by Natty Natural whatever.
Hey, don't be knocking no Natty Ices.
All right, Dave, give us as much of a breakdown as you can on Oklahoma, including your best Samuel L. Jackson impersonation.
I don't know much about Oklahoma. I can help you with Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, whatever.
I don't know. We're I hate doing this because they're just so bad. There wasn't outside of, I think, sacks and tackles for loss. They're not terrible, but their best ranking in the 4 metrics that I typically use, which is BCF Toys, which is like efficiency, Sagarin, K Ford, and SP Plus. Their best one is BCF Toys at 111th.
There's 136 teams, right? Yeah.
Sagarin, they're 143, so that includes they're behind some FCS teams. K Ford, they're 114. The next closest P4 team is UNC at 87. So they're almost 30 spots below a team that I think has the least amount of talent in the country. And SP Plus, they're 112th. I mean, some of these numbers are just holy shit. Total defense, 133rd. 130th in yards per play allowed, almost 7 yards per play, 6.72. They're giving up 14 yards per completion. The 108th rush defense, 101st in yards per carry, 4.52 yards per carry. They're bottom 15 in the country, passing yards allowed, scoring defense, red zone defense, and sacks allowed. I don't know, man. Like, UC should do whatever they want, but the way that the sport has gone this year, I mean, I'll be surprised, stunned, frankly, if somehow they won this game. But they're going to be hard, I think, for UC to scout, because when they made this coaching change and then they got rid of Todd Grantham, they really probably only need to watch their last couple games because, for instance, they have a safety, Mordecai McDaniel, who wasn't playing at all until the coaching change, and then he's been their leading tackler the last 2 games. So watching stuff that happened before the coaching change is probably pointless. They have a new play caller as of today. Interim head coach Doug Meacham had been calling the plays. He's now turned that over to their offensive coordinator, who will now be calling the plays. So it's kind of hard to even watch the last couple games because a different person is now calling the plays. They have the quarterback, Sam Jackson.
I'm not yelling. That's just the way I talk.
He might be able to get you a Royale with cheese, but he has quite the career. I played quarterback at TCU in 2021 and 2022. Played quarterback at Cal in 2023. Last year he played wide receiver at Auburn, and now this year he came to Oklahoma State as a wide receiver, but they've had so many quarterback injuries, he's now playing quarterback. He is 14 for 27 for 161 yards, a touchdown and interception this year, and is basically a 50% passer for his career.
Yeah. He fits right. He plays right into how UC wants to play defense.
Yeah. Rodney Fields Jr. is a solid running back. 55 carries, 4.7 yards per carry, and is also their second leading receiver. I would say he is probably far and away their best offensive threat. The wide receiver position, leading receiver has 19 catches for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, they really are not good on offense. They're not good on defense. I think UC should run the ball and run the ball and run the ball and then run it again and then probably run it some more after that. And just play a lot of your base, tackle well, run to the ball. You know, you should be able to get some pressure on them. Their red zone defense is 90th in touchdown percentage allowed. You know, passing yards allowed, I think I already said they're 134th. There's 136 teams. They're giving up 9.4 yards per attempt and 13.9 yards per completion. So basically, anytime an opponent drops back to throw the ball, they're giving up a first down.
Yeah. And you want them to run all the time?
Because they're even worse at rush.
They're worse than a first down every play?
Well, I guess not. I guess they're actually worse at pass defense, but I mean, they're giving up 6.72 yards per play. So it kind of doesn't matter.
Right.
And they've just had, obviously they've had a lot of injuries at the quarterback position. They've also then had a bunch of guys jump into the portal, which from my standpoint, and I don't know if any of those guys were contributors or not, the scouting department is going to really have to dig on this game to find out who's playing, who was playing that's not playing, who wasn't playing that is now playing. And that's the type of stuff that can cause problems. I mean, we joke about Jerry Neuheisel at UCLA getting to take over the play calling on a Tuesday. Now, I don't think it should have mattered to the extent that it did, but you don't know what a lot of these guys can do. You don't know how they're going to call it. There's no tendencies. I mean, you've had Gundy to an interim to now a different. I mean, you're 7 games in. You're going to have 3 different guys calling plays.
Yeah.
So there's not any tendencies at this point.
Would you agree? I've said this a couple times though. Like I was asked. I was on the Locked On podcast with Jeff FF Carr today, and he asked me if this was a trap game. I said I think the trap game was last week. I think UCF was the trap game.
Yeah.
You're coming off Kansas and Iowa State. It was kind of a sleepy noon start. Like it didn't have a great deal of energy, understandably. Like I don't mind the noon starts, Dave. I think a back-to-back weekend noon start is going to be difficult to generate a lot of excitement.
And on fall break.
On fall break, you're playing a team that's not winning after coming off beating the number 14 team in the country. People have kid stuff that they got to do, games and responsibilities. You're going to pick the Iowa State game over the UCF game if you have to choose. Like, I'm going to blow my stuff off this week, but next week I probably got to be an adult and handle adult business. Like, I think if there was a trap game, it was last week. I don't think after the way the offense played, they're going to be sleepy.
Well,
Stillwater on
also,
Saturday.
I mean, Dante made a point to call out the score of the last time they played at Oklahoma State. So
yes,
it would appear that
where Ollie Gordon ran for
A million
593 yards. Yeah.
I think he's still running somewhere, just somehow not in the NFL.
I mean, he might be at the stadium just running. Like, oh, we're still playing UC from 2023. Yeah. I'm still scoring touchdowns.
So no, I don't think it's a trap game mainly because they should be able to they should be able to run the ball at will. And it's hard to fall into a trap game situation if your offensive line can be physical and mauling and you can run your two backs and your quarterback, and they just don't. I mean, they can move the ball a little bit. They put up 27 on Baylor. They scored a little bit last week, but defensively, it's rough. And if UC is holding a team that, UCF and Oklahoma State probably they're on similar planes offensively. I don't know which one's better or worse, but
yeah,
they're in the same general vicinity. If they held them to 11, really 3, if Oklahoma State gets to 20, I can't imagine UC not getting into the 30s or 40s, right, based on everything else that's happened.
Yes.
It would take, a 3 turnover, maybe 1 for a touchdown, a bunch of short fields, just some very fluky stuff for them to all of a sudden, the way the offense has been playing. I mean, they're still second, even with everything that happened at UCF and only running 48 plays and barely 300 yards. They're still second in the country in yards per play. And Oklahoma State, I think I put the tweet out, Oklahoma State is 130 something.
That's a disparity that should work out in the favor of the Bearcats.
Their last three games, Baylor, Arizona, and Houston, 45, 41, 39. If the Bearcats aren't in the 30s/40s, then to me that says like turnovers, a bunch of penalties, which they have to clean up the penalties. We like shitting on the refs. There's been way too many penalties that have nothing to do with the officials,
especially offensively.
Yeah,
like you want it. Why can't the offense get going? A lot of it is that holding, false starts, illegal blocks, whatever, illegal man downfield. That stuff plays a major factor in your offense. Like, it's not always going to be like the Kansas game where they got a bunch of penalties in the Kansas game, but they were just smoking on offense. So it's like, okay, 1st and 20, well, we'll get 15 on first down and another 12 on second. And 1st and 20 ends up in not even getting a third down. And we're just cruising down the field.
Here you go. In Big 12 play, they have this is just accepted penalties. 29 accepted penalties in 3 games. So essentially 10 a game.
Yeah.
For 276 yards. So you're almost 3 football fields worth of yards they've given to the opponent. Basically 100 yards a game. It's practically shaking out to. 85, 90 yards a game. They're giving to the opponent in penalties in Big 12 play. Like, that has to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
And they've been bad on third down. That's really the one spot. They've been really good on first down, which has been saving them. They're one of the best teams in the country on first down, and one of the, in the hundreds in third down because of these penalties. Like, they're either scoring touchdowns, getting to the red zone and kicking a few field goals, or going 3 and out because these penalties are popping up and they're in these bad down and distances.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that with the run game, it can look a little bit more like Iowa State, where you're in 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3, 3rd and 1, instead of 2nd and 7, 3rd and 7 type situations that we saw against UCF.
Yeah. What's a score prediction, David?
I'm going to go 41-17.
I think I'm feeling like 38-10 range. Do they have a good kicker?
I did notice, I think he's perfect on extra points and maybe something like 10 for 12 or 8 for 10 on field goals. So for college, yeah, I would say that's pretty good.
So there could be some situations that Cincinnati has avoided the last 2 weeks where teams are getting into scoring range, but they've been going for it on fourth down. Like Iowa State tried the one field goal, the guy missed, and they were like, all right, like they might as well have kicked him off the team for the rest of the game. Like they were not kicking a field goal again, no matter what.
Well, yeah, I mean,
because they were getting blown out. But
he had a field goal last week, 2 field goals against Arizona, and 2 field goals against Baylor. So he's made 5 over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. So like when they're at the 25, 30-yard line, unless they're down big, like there's a chance you're going to see them put 3 on the board and keep it moving.
And we, M-Dot kind of mentions like Dingle not playing a ton. We could get into a situation where starters get pulled and maybe they get a cheap one or something late in the game.
Was Gundy unable to recruit or retain? It just fell apart, man. The wheels just fell off. Like
I don't think they have a ton of money, but I don't think they had a bunch. They have a ton of money holistically, I think, but I don't think they had a bunch to pay guys. And he had both coordinators leave or had to fire essentially after last year.
Yeah.
And then so he hires new coordinators. Well, the new coordinators want to bring in guys they're comfortable with. So they ended up with, I think, 9 or 10 new coaches.
Almost an entire new staff.
It's just not a very talented roster. And guys have left during the season. So I don't know if that affects their depth, if that affects their frontline guys. Doug Meacham talked a lot this week just about fundamentals. If you're talking about fundamentals in the middle of October, you've got some pretty big problems.
Like basically they had to start over on tackling. Their fundamentals were so bad on tackling that like at practice, they are going over like day one, sophomore year of high school stuff. Are we worried about players getting poached? I'm more worried about Mick Cardwell. It's Nick Cardwell. And M-Dot, I don't worry about that stuff.
No.
I've been doing, and maybe it's just being jaded, being numb to it all. I don't worry about it because whether I worry about it or not, it's going to happen or not happen. Like we just kind of talk about what happens.
Yep.
I get why you guys worry about it, and I don't begrudge you for worrying about it. But in terms of my opinion on that stuff, I have enough on my plate that worrying about what might happen 6, 8, 10 weeks from now, I struggle to know exactly what's happening tomorrow. Like Dave, I feel like I have something I'm supposed to do tomorrow
that you can't think of,
that I don't have written down and I can't think of.
Yeah. I mean, what did I say to you earlier today? No one pays me to worry, and I'm certainly not worried about something that I don't have any control over.
Right. Like our play. Yeah. Guess what? Teams tried to poach Brendan Sorsby, Joe Royer, Dante Corleone, Gavin Gerhardt. Like teams tried to poach all of them last year. A couple guys did get poached.
I have no control over that, so why would I worry about it?
Yeah, my bandwidth is maxed out, brother. Some of that is my fault. I say yes to too many things, and have spread myself entirely too thin at times. But I'm sure people are going to really want to hire Nick Cardwell as an offensive line coach. I'm sure people have tried to hire Nick Cardwell away already as an offensive line coach because he's really good at it. I hope he stays. I really enjoy Nick. I've gotten to know his wife a little bit, his kids. I hope he's here for a long time because I think he's outstanding at the job. But will somebody try to poach him? If they didn't, they wouldn't be very good at their job.
I'm sure people do and have and will, but he's pretty tight with the head coach. So
yeah. So, and guess what? I think if somebody tried to poach him, I think there would be a very similar offer quickly placed on the table from Cincinnati. I don't think that's one that that Coach Satterfield wants to let get away by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
All right, let's timestamp it. That was Turtles Brew, 6% ABV, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free. It's bourbon-infused sweet tea. They have strawberry mint and lemonade tea and cherry lime and raspberry peach and orange vanilla. There's more than 50 locations in Greater Cincinnati, over 100 around Ohio. Visit turtlesbrew.com for information and the location nearest you. Big Slime injured. Kelsey just walked in the door. Dave, give me your initial reaction on the news that Cincinnati is losing what was expected to be one of their 3 primary big men.
It's obviously disappointing, and I think from my standpoint, I feel like I'm more concerned about the mentality and the quotient, the toughness, the fight, the things that I bemoaned so much last year. I thought he was someone that would really have an impact in that aspect of the team, whether that was as a starter, whether that was as the first big off the bench, whether it was playing 25 minutes a game or 15 minutes a game. That was, I think, the element of him personally that I was looking forward to the most. And not saying that others can't step up in that fashion, but it's always a little bit different when you have a big that is not like a enforcer in the hockey term of it, but like Buck, we know Buck has got that kind of shit to him and toughness, and Kerr has that to him, but like it kind of always means a little bit more when you've got just call him like a goon, so to speak. Not that he would be dirty or anything like that, but you're physical. You're going to come in the paint, and if I'm in the paint, we're going to meet, and you're probably not going to get your shot off, and you're going to end up on the floor. And I feel like that is probably the element that with him being out, that I'm worried about the most.
I agree. You kind of stole my thunder because that's been my main takeaway is I thought he was going to be your tough guy in the paint. And that's not to say Chom won't be. That's not to say Baba Miller isn't going to be an incredible defensive player or physical guy, because I think both of those guys have those traits. But I think with Slime, that's a guy that's gonna get after it. That's a guy that's gonna absolutely mix it up. You've seen there's highlights from him in George Mason, the old jump ball. I'm not letting go of the ball. You're gonna have to rip my arm off to get this ball from me. He's got that kind of old school Bearcat mentality, and I was really excited to have that. The other thing, Dave, I do think it's a big blow offensively. You're talking a guy that scored just under 15 points a game in the A10. And it wasn't just that. It's that he was really good at the high post initiating offense. Teams had to respect him because he could pass, he could knock down that 17-foot jumper, he could take you off the bounce and get to the rim and score. Like, he just had a lot of versatility that guys his size don't normally have. And I think the other two guys, I'd consider them more like two-way guys. Like, yeah, they can get you some points on offense, but they're also going to really help you on defense. Like I think Slime was the offensive guy in that trio.
Right.
And, you know, I had somebody describe Tyler McKinley this way. I love that that Wes tried to dance around this today. Like, Tyler McKinley's going to have an opportunity to eat a lot of those minutes. Wes played it as there's an opportunity. We've got a lot of versatility, and I've talked about this. There's a lot of guys that are going to see a couple extra minutes here and there to make up for this loss. Yes, I agree. But the one that's directly impacted the most is probably Tyler McKinley. Tyler McKinley has a lot of the same offensive skill, skill game as Jalen Haynes. He's just a year to 2 years behind in development. So right. You're going to be asking him.
He might have similar skill, but we were hoping Haynes would be on the low end, probably 8-9 points a game. On the high end,
yeah.
On the high end,
12,
13, 14. They might have the same type of skill, but I don't think anybody is now going and using it as a one-to-one of, okay, now we're going to be expecting McKinley to produce at that same level.
Correct. Now, he can do some of the same things in terms of initiating offense from the high post and, you know, being that guy at the top that's doing the handoffs and the ball screens and picking and popping, picking and rolling a little. Like, he's got a skill set, but he's 2 years behind, a year behind in his development to get to where Haynes was. So that hurts. And on a team that is expected, I just look at KenPom, expected to be top 5 in the country defensively. That's where KenPom has them in the country, 5th on defense, 70-something on offense. I don't love that a guy that was supposed to be a key part of an offense that's supposed to be in the 70s is now out indefinitely, because I think you have the same feeling on this that I do. That doesn't make me feel great about the upside of the offense in his steed.
No.
And you're in a league where the bottom might not be as good this year. The top is loaded.
And
7 teams in the top 21.
The top can score.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah.
The top is going to have some teams that can get it going offensively. They wouldn't be in the top if they were, like you see, if they were predominantly, defensive oriented. They wouldn't be that high up, using KenPom. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic of, kind of that thing I feel like we've talked about it now for a couple of years. How much defense are you willing to potentially give up? Because you got to find a way to get some more offensive action going.
It's a concern. I mean, there's a 70 spot gap between where they are on offense and where they are on defense. And look, that stuff right now, you're dumb if you put a whole bunch of weight into it.
Right. It's a starting point. It's just a way. It's just a way to put teams in an order.
And it says there's not a lot of nobody's jumping out of the gym at the offensive talent assembled on this roster.
Yeah. and the numbers will change, but Ken Palm's not usually super far off, and a team that he's got 70-something in offense ends up being in the top 15.
That would be a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Thrifty is this does put, like, Abayev may be the guy this puts the most heat on or attention on, because I think with Haynes, at least you were going to have somebody that you felt pretty confident, like, you're going to get those 10, 11, 12 points a game, right? Like, maybe you're not confident he's going to bust out and have many 20, 25-point games, but I think you're pretty confident that Haynes was going to be a guy that was going to be right in that double-digit area every game. Abayev is probably the most gifted natural scorer on the roster, but I'm guessing you wanted a runway to rely on him to be that. Like, you wanted a ramp up for him to get comfortable, adjust to the speed of the game, adjust to, most importantly for him, I think, the physicality of the game. And you've shortened some of that runway.
Well, and we just talked, we talked all offseason about the difference between this roster and last year is the versatility and the different options that you had based on matchups. And I think with Haynes being out, he was one of the key guys that gave you a lot of different options. You had a lot of optionality with him, depending on how you wanted to play. I think maybe more so than almost anybody else.
Yeah.
And now with him out, it kind of silos some of the other guys. You can't move those guys around as much as maybe you could have if he was playing. You have more defined roles now and less optionality.
Yes. So, you know, it's a significant loss for however long it is. And like I said, I don't know that answer yet. It feels like it's going to be a while. I don't know if that's January, February 2020, like November 2026. I don't know that answer. But it's a team that offensively had questions. And now one of those answers is out for what appears to be an extended period of time. And that hurts. That hurts. Especially, 2 weeks from the start of the season, you don't got a lot of time to figure out the other stuff.
What should I overreact to the most Friday night?
Yaxel Lindenborg getting like 20 rebounds.
Okay. I'll be sure to, when I see you tweet or when I see something, I'll be sure to throw something at the TV because I will not be, let's be real, I will not be watching an exhibition game on Big Ten plus.
You're not going to pay $13 Friday night to watch that?
I will not. You know why I won't? Because I have the phone number of someone that will be there.
Oh, really? Who?
Just people. So why would I need to pay money when I can just call someone and ask them how it went?
I might not be I might go shopping after the game.
What? I don't even know what time is the game.
6.
6. Okay.
6. Are you a Toledo guy? Do you know much about Toledo?
All I know about Toledo is there's a casino right off 75, and it's on the way to Detroit.
There's no hotel.
The casino doesn't have a hotel with it. It's just a casino.
I know, but I would like to have had okay, we're done. We drive to Toledo, and then I stay at a hotel that's got a casino in it.
I can
that
find
seems
out.
like it would have been fun.
How long are you going to be in Ann Arbor? Actually,
hours.
I was gonna say my aunt goes there every year for some art festival. I could find out a restaurant or something for you to go to.
So I think the plan is there's a pizza place called the Village Idiot in Toledo that I was told has really, really good pizza. So I think we're going to stop there for lunch. So if you're listening to this, you're in the Toledo area, you want to come say hi, like Friday, like 11:30, 12 o'clock, I might be at the Village Idiot. I mean,
Yeah.
I figure
the shoe fits.
Like, yeah, like it's just screaming my name. And then check in the hotel, go to Ann Arbor, watch the game, and then back to the hotel, and then up and back to Cincinnati in the morning so that we can get situated for Oklahoma State on Saturday night.
The Pokes.
Feels like a place that I eat free. Right. Like I should walk in and it should be like
I haven't gotten my royalty check.
Right. Like you named this place after me. I'm sure they probably never heard that joke.
Yeah, no chance that any middle-aged dad has ever gone in there and made a joke about the name of the place being named after them.
I mean, but I've created a village and I'm the idiot. So, but yeah, it's dad joke central. That's one of those, like you tell the joke and then the server just rolls her eyes.
Spits in your pizza.
Yeah. Like you get a server with one of those names and you make a name joke, and they just look at you like, yeah, you're the first, buddy. First time. Congratulations.
Never heard that one. You should try stand up. You're really good at that.
I mean, that's just hilarious. You're so funny, sir. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up.
6-pack. We got the 6-pack.
Oh, yeah. 6-pack. Shit, I forgot. The Cincy Light 6-pack.
This is a great week to have.
Look.
Great week to have an 8 o'clock game, by the way.
You forgot that you were doing this the first couple weeks. It's okay if I forget every now and again.
Yes.
After we spend an hour talking about everything but the game we said we were going to talk about.
Hey, we talk about what we feel like talking about. I didn't feel like talking about the Central Florida game.
Go ahead.
You want me to go?
6-pack.
Are you ready?
Cincy Light 6-pack.
Cincy Light 6-pack. LSU at Vanderbilt, ABC noon. Vandy is a favorite in this game. I feel like this is probably the first time they've ever been a favorite against a ranked team, at least since I've been alive. This is a super interesting one just for if LSU loses. The veins will be popping.
Fired?
I'm not going that far, but I mean, they already don't like the guy. You lose to Vandy, I don't know. Things could get interesting. Ole Miss at Georgia, ABC, 3:30. I'm not sure what Georgia is. Like, they don't really do anything great. But Ole Miss barely beat I think they were 33-point favorites last week at home against Washington State and won by 3. So I'm not sure if some of the Trinidad Shambliss shine is starting to wear off or not. But I mean, it's just be a good game to watch. Great atmosphere where most people or all people listening to this have no rooting interest one way or the other. So good game there. We will highlight a couple Big 12 games because we can now start scoreboard watching and watching games that potentially have implications for the Bearcats. And Texas Tech at Arizona State, 4 o'clock Fox is one of them. Who's playing quarterback for either team, I think, is still up in the air. Both, Sam Levitt didn't play last week. seems like he'll be probable, but who knows what his status really is. Baron Morton has been battling injuries. Texas Tech is a wagon, but that Arizona State defense is good, like real good. The only problem is the Texas Tech defense is real damn good too. That's been the biggest difference with this team is they're doing the old Texas Tech stuff on offense, but it's not the old Big 12 style defense where it was Patrick Mahomes and we're going to put up 700 yards, but we're also going to give up 750.
Yeah.
So until proven otherwise, I think they are considerably ahead of everybody else in the conference and probably the most Sharpie playoff team in the country. We'll go USC at Notre Dame, 7:30 NBC. This feels very
maybe
much
the end of a rivalry.
And it feels very much like the loser is not making the playoff. The winner feels really good about where they're at. The loser is probably done. Can Lincoln Riley actually win a big game? Stay tuned to find out. Have to go Holy War. Utah at BYU, 8 o'clock. Or well, hold on. I'm going to save that one for last. UT at Alabama. Tennessee at Alabama, 7:30 ABC. I'm thinking Alabama is positioning themselves at the top of that next group. I think you have Ohio State and Miami, and then where do you put Alabama, Indiana, Texas A&M is kind of, I think that's debatable. I would not have a problem with anybody putting in any order of those three teams. Tennessee's defense has been pretty disappointing this year. They were really good last year on defense. They did have guys to replace, but I was expecting more from their defense. I mean, they got gashed in the first half last week against Arkansas.
Look,
it's in Bama.
You don't lose a guy like Christian Harrison and just recover.
No, you don't.
Clearly.
So I feel like Bama is a step ahead of a Tennessee right now. And then, as I mentioned, Holy War, Utah at BYU, 8 p.m. on Fox. Just a massive game. I mean, I think obviously BYU undefeated. I think everyone overreacted greatly to Utah's game against Texas Tech. I think Utah's still really, really good and should just be a fun game in Provo to have on.
Who you got in that one?
I think I got Utah. I'm having a hard time buying into the BYU offense.
It's because their quarterback wears 47.
That's a big part of it, but outside of LJ Martin, it's not. They make plays here and there, but they needed a big comeback to beat Colorado. They kind of played with their food against West Virginia. I can't quite buy into the offense.
But I guess you could say similar about Utah? Or was that just Texas Tech's defense is that good?
I think that was just Texas Tech was that good on that day. And might just be that good in general.
That's going to be the interesting thing for me. Was that an aberration and Texas Tech is that good? Or are there some issues offensively for Utah that can prevent them? Because I think right now, if Texas Tech was an aberration, right? If that game was just Texas Tech is that much better than the league, I think Utah's the second best team.
They don't have the guys.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, they don't have the guys on the outside, but their offensive line, I mean, you look at some, whether it's PFF or what the other one? I'm blanking on the other one that does a lot of the stats and stuff that we retweet. I mean, Utah's offensive line is grading out as one of, if not the best in the country.
PFSN or
yeah, I think that's right. So yeah, and I think BYU still has a good defense. They have a really good linebacker that I don't think played last week, so it'll be interesting if he plays this week or not. That would be a huge loss if he can't. But yeah, I can't quite buy into BYU because I just don't think their offense is dynamic enough. If they need to get into a more high scoring, high possession type game.
Yeah. Do I know if WLW will carry the game from Ann Arbor? They are not. I know that because I was on with Mo today and we were talking about this specific situation. And
everyone that would be broadcasting the game will be in Stillwater.
He said he will be with Dan Horde in Stillwater. And I said, Mo, you have the chance to do what nobody else can do. And that is turn the game on Big Ten Network Plus on your phone or TV or whatever, and have Dan Horde sit next to you and call the game. Like, you and Tony are the only people that could potentially enjoy that luxury of having Dan Horde call this particular game. But no, WLW, unfortunately, will not be there. All right, I'm good.
But you will.
I will. At Chad Brendel.
Why don't you broadcast the whole game on like Twitter Spaces or something?
They kick you. You have to agree to not do that when you get a credential.
I had no idea.
I would. I'd do it on Twitch. Maybe they wouldn't find it on Twitch. You know what I mean? Like, just go, like, check the Bearcat Journal YouTube or Twitch channel on Friday, or maybe I'll put that on Twitter. Like, hey, you could probably go check out the Bearcat Journal Twitch channel. I think
you don't broadcast it. You just offer in comments as the.
I've seen somebody. That's interesting. That's interesting because I've seen somebody do this, Dave, at a game where they just turned their phone on facing them, and then they gave their observations of the game that's happening in front of them.
Yeah, like you wouldn't give the play-by-play of everything that's happening, but you just talk as the game's going on.
In Dallas, there were definitely people podcasting directly from the press box. It was ridiculous, and cheering and clapping, and that whole situation was absurd. Alabama's a whole different animal.
What are you doing at 6 Friday, Aaron?
I'm probably going to be spending time with my family.
Oh.
Not anymore.
What about Friday night? Like 10 o'clock?
I don't know. I don't know that you can really live broadcast at 10 o'clock.
I mean, when I get back to my hotel room to do like a post-game show.
I assumed we were going to be doing that anyway.
Okay. I didn't know. We had not talked about that. So I didn't.
If there's a game, I'm safely assuming I'm booked.
That's fair. It's fair. I might look into that, Dave. I might look into like just live streaming myself from the game and giving just stream of consciousness. That'll probably depend on like what the seating arrangement is like. If there's people right next to me,
like
I don't want to do
people
that.
right next. Then you'd be like, "Hello, everybody, welcome to my broadcast." And
yeah,
I would get very annoyed if I was sitting there covering the game and the person next to me
was just stream of consciousness,
staring into their phone, talking out loud.
I was 30 seats away from the people from Alabama who were broadcasting, and it was terrible.
My voice is pretty quiet though, so
right.
Like people around me probably won't hear me, right?
Well, how much would anybody hear you with fans and a band? And
it's an exhibition game the night before Michigan Washington.
Yeah,
I'm maybe there's a lot of excitement up there for the basketball team. And
I mean, they're what, number 2 in the country or something preseason?
They're ranked very high. I don't know. We'll see. I'll get a read for things, and we'll see. Maybe I'll go live on the YouTube channel.
You could do like a recap type thing on the drive back.
Well, I think Aaron and I was thinking maybe a Twitter Spaces, but I mean, Aaron and I can just do like a quick 20-minute show. I don't think we need to do like a full, 60-minute aftermath.
I won't be watching it. I'm not paying $14 for the Big Ten.
Do you want me to Venmo you $14, Aaron?
I mean, no, it's just silly.
The whole thing's talking about an exhibition.
The whole thing's silly. I just figured I'd ask you questions that I had interest in.
Okay.
You like to talk anyway.
I do. Maybe we'll just do it on the car ride home, like me in a dark car, D'Artagnan Tinsley style.
I'm sure your girlfriend will love that.
Probably. She would probably rather me do that than have to watch me do it from the hotel room for 40 minutes.
At least you'd have pants on.
I'm not making any promises I can't keep, Aaron. Not making any promises I can't keep, sir.
That seems more of like a Dave After Dark topic.
Dave's gone tops off for a podcast before.
Well, when I'm in a pool, like, what am I going to put a T-shirt on?
You might need. I mean,
never in my life.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. We're rambling now. This is silly. Some reason there's still 50 people in here. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. A lot of good stuff still coming throughout the week and into the weekend. Big weekend. Holy Grail on Saturday, 8:00 to watch the Bearcats take on the Cowpokes. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks to the Holy Grail. Thanks to Turtles Brew. Thanks to Home Field Apparel. Thanks to Cincy Light. We'll see you next time. That's the BCJ Podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com.